We're out here in the Mojave Desert, and there was once a culture here that was based on hunting desert bighorn sheep. And this culture lasted perhaps as much as 10,000 years. It's kind of hard to believe that, you know, father or son for untold generations hunted sheep, learned about sheep, and that was really a major component of their culture. The way they hunted them, it was before the bow and arrow, and it was with this sometimes called the spear and atlatl. Sometimes when you're referring to an atlatl, they call the projectile a dart. It was a universal technology in so much as it was all over the world. It was used in Europe for like 30,000 years, all over Asia, and even into Australia. So it was a weapon that was used by humans for the large part of the hunter-gatherer episode of humanity. A typical hunter could take game at 50 yards and maybe a good hunter on a good shot 75 yards. We got a blind here, we got a blind here, we got one right there. So we might have had 3 or 4 hunters all waiting, working in coordination, and then the sheep would either have been coming down off the hill, or maybe you might have deer or antelope working their way off this meadow, preparing to get up on the hillside for safety. They've been down there drinking and feeding, and now they want to get up on the hillside and chew their cud and kind of do so in a elevated place where they can see. And of course we would be the hunters hiding here. When these were probably used, they were probably also had bushes to extend the height of the blind. When we got to stand up and make this big movement, they're going to see us at the range and they're going to scatter. So we really have to stand up, and then we have to throw it quick, accurate, and that's going to be our first and only chance probably, or we'll spend days maybe having to follow them. 10, 12,000 years, and that would have been who knows how many generations of father and son would have sat here or somewhere else and used this very instrument. And of course now it's all but forgotten. Projectiles have not changed, they've been modernized, and we can see, of course, the modern version of a sheep hunting machine is this machine right here. This particular one is a Remington, and it's in model 700 with a 7mm mag, which is a fairly high power round. But it has a lot of the same ideas actually manifested in it. The projectile in this thing actually rotates to keep the gyroscopic stability, to keep it accurate. It is pretty much a one-shot design. It's not meant to rapid fire. It's what they call a bolt action. And so it's meant to hit the animal right off the get-go. When it comes to sheep especially, the real skill, even in ancient times, was finding the animal. A good man with this is a good 200 to 400 yards, whereas with the atlatl, you're limited to about 50 to 75. So there is a difference in that, but with this weapon, when you fire it, you've pretty much scared the animals off. You either hit him or not. It's a tradition here in the desert, the North American desert, that stretches back 12, 13,000 years, and one that's still alive. And a lot of times you can see it in the petroglyphs. There's a lot of petroglyphs that have hunting scenes, or bighorn sheep, or atlatls, that are kind of snapshots, if you will, of this ancient tradition of the land that we in the modern world sometimes don't appreciate, but it's still there, and it still can be seen to those who look. A kill is still a kill, and it's something that's very unique to human beings, how we understand killing. A falcon or a bobcat kills without really the kind of feelings that a human being has. And there's a moment where you look at the animal gauge it for what it is, whether it's a big one or a small one or whatever, and then you start butchering it. And that's part of that hunt, that you end up eating it. And the ancient people understood that was a kind of a commune with nature. And of course, they may have thought of it as the universe or some other word for it, but that part of the hunt is still the same.